when we passed out in 2005, end of 2005, then we had a lot of growth in telecom at that point, because Telenor and Warid had just launched at that time, and till 2008 there was a lot of growth. People were easily getting the jobs. Those who were the right candidates, they were very easily getting the jobs. Let me tell you the trend. Till the recession struck, then the companies went on for consolidation, for profit consolidation. They started to cut down the OPEX. There were no increments, there were no bonus. So the boom started to decline. And 2009 was one of the worst year from the job sector for the Pakistani engineers, those people who had graduated in 2008 and early in 2009. I mean, most of the people, they said that telecom has saturated. So they were, I mean, in fact, going to some other side. But yes, it was correct. In 2009 was, and to some extent the first 2 quarters of 2010, they were the worst years for telecom engineers. And then after around July 2010, the market again started to grow. And at this moment I can tell you that people are hunting for the right person, and they are not getting it. And this is what it always happens in telecom. In 2005, they were waiting for the right candidate, they were not getting it, they were going for the second choice candidates. And even today, what is happening is that they are hunting for the right candidate. There are lots of jobs, there are lots of money to pay, and they are not getting the right people. And the reason is that because the people, the experienced people keep on moving from Pakistan to the international markets, and this creates the vacuum or the job vacuum for the local talent, One of the things, if the young engineers are looking at, most importantly the academia people are looking into this interview, then I would strongly suggest that we need to revise and update our curriculum according to the industry requirements. Okay, it is the market, it is the business that should be driving the academia, rather than the academia trying to dictate the market. That will never happen. I mean, let me tell you. For example, even today, we, the electronic engineers and the telecom engineers, when we get a bit experience, 2 years experience, 3 years experience, then we have to do a lot of work relating to the software. But our curriculum has only hardly 1 or 2 courses on the software programming. So this creates a vacuum. When we want to hire the right candidate, we will interview him for what we want to get out of him. And if he hasn't studied that in the university, he cannot produce that thing. So this is where we come around some problems in the hunting the right resources. At this moment, there are still a lot of jobs for the 2G. The operators, their revenue is increasing. For those operators who are actively doing the marketing, the advertisement, their revenue is still increasing. So from business point of view, there is no saturation in telecom. This is for sure, I can tell you. A point that I'm saying that the problem is that they are not updating their curriculum, and the major problem is that they are not connected with the industry. I mean, they do not have any link with the industry. They do not know that what is the requirements from the industry, and they just copy paste the curriculum from MIT and Stanford. They said, okay, if MIT is teaching this, then he will teach this. But the requirements of industry in MIT is different from the requirements in Pakistan. So until and unless they are in connection with the local industry, the people in the local industry, they will never be able to produce that human resource which the telecom companies require. So they need to update their curriculum. They need to introduce more software courses in their electrical and telecom courses, because this is what they will be doing when they pass out from the industry. This is what they will be doing when they come into the telecom industry. So they need to introduce more software courses into their curriculum. This is what I'm saying. What the operators want at this moment, they want their OPEX to go down, their operational expenditures to go down. How they can reduce their operational expenditure? They can reduce their operational expenditure OPEX by hiring those people who can cut down the office work. For example, they can hire people who can automate their office work and reduce 8 hours of work into 2 hours. This is what they want. This will substantially reduce the OPEX. This will help them improve the network more fastly. This will help them resolve the customer complaints more fastly. And when they have reduced their OPEX at the 2G level, this will leave the budget for them for further investment at the CAPEX level for 3G. This is what if they have spent a lot of money on the 2G network, so what's the money left for investment on 3G? So hiring the best people, hiring those who can resolve the issues much faster will help them reduce the customer churn, help them reduce the customer complaints, and this amount of budget which they will save, now they have they will invest it into the 3G. This is one point. I mean, this is a cyclic relationship. Reduce the cost of 2G and invest that savings into the 3G. Back in 2007-2008, Telenor and to some extent Zong as well, they were very aggressive about 3G. I mean, they really wanted to that 3G license be auctioned, and the reason was that they wanted to compete with Mobilink. Okay, there is a very simple question, and this was something which I was thinking while on my coming to my this way, and I thought that why is Mobilink the market leader? Very simple question. Mobilink is the market leader because it entered way back in 1992. Okay. And when Ufone, Telenor and Warid came, Mobilink had already skimmed the market. Now, what PTA should do at this moment is that they should create an artificial monopoly again at this moment. At this point, what PTA wants is that they want to auction maybe 3 or 4 3G licenses. And the problem is that when the operators think that there will be 3 3G licenses or maybe 4 3G licenses, that means that the revenue of the data will be divided between 3 competitors. And they are not willing to do it. I mean, if they divide the revenue between 3 players, then there is very little left for them to justify the capex of investing into the 3G. What PTA can do the trick, PTA can at this moment auction only one license for 3G. Auction only one license, and let that operator capture the market and let others show the revenue and the potential in the data. Once that operator captures the market, gathers the revenue, then all the operators will be willing to invest into the 3G, and then after maybe 6 months or maybe a year, then PTA can auction 2 more licenses as well, and then at that will be the real boom. But if they want to straight away auction 3 licenses at the same time, that will be very difficult, because operators will think that okay, all the revenue will be divided between 3 players, and if Mobilink gets that license, then Mobilink already has 44% of the market share, then they will get the major lion's share in the data network as well. Then okay, we are not going to invest. This is actually what is happening. Telenor and the other operators who really want to invest in 3G, and half of their network from the backhaul point of view, from the transmission point of view, they do have the capacity to implement 3G. But the reason they are not interested anymore at this moment for 3G is that they would think that the revenue will be shared between 3 operators, and this will leave very little for them to capture the market and very little for them to justify the capex investment into the 3G. There are several things. From a cellular network, one thing we need to understand that the cost is divided between the operator and the user as well, because if the user hasn't got 3G capable handset, then there is no use of implementing 3G. Now, at least I believe that at least 20 to 25% of the handsets, those fancy handsets, Nokia N8 and these handsets, they are already 3G capable, and at least 20 to 25% of the Pakistani population already have those handsets which are actually 3G capable. At this moment, you just go to them and the shopkeeper will show you, oh man, it's 3G capable. Okay, people buy it just for the class or the standard of living. Okay, but they do not know that the moment 3G is on air, they will automatically be using the 3G. So half of the problem for the operator is already gone. They already have at least something to start from, which already have the 3G handsets. The only thing for the 3G operator is to upgrade their network. In fact at this moment most of the operators, their network needs simple upgradation from the radio point of view, and they can easily launch 3G. The problem lies at the backhaul, at the transmission links. And from transmission point of view, I am pretty sure that Telenor and Zong, they have the capability at their backhaul network to easily launch or quickly launch the 3G, and they are, in fact, to be honest, they are very much willing to launch 3G as well, provided that they do have the justification for investing into that capex. .3G and WiMAX, from layman's point of view, they are both offering data from layman points of view, but from a technological point of view, they are different. And one of the major differences between that 3G is a migration from 2G. Okay, and that is what I told you, that 20 to 25% of the people already have 3G enabled handsets. So when operator launches the network and the moment user buys a SIM for them from that operator, he is on 3G. Nothing, no hassle. But for WiMAX, you have to create a market from scratch. And then you have to tell the customer that, man, you have to install equipment at your house, and there is no mobility, and then there are so many issues of quality of service issues. Their customer services is, I mean, horrible, to be honest. So their marketing, nobody knows, unless those people who really want to go for 3G for data, they know it. Otherwise, most of the people do not know. Even today, most of the people are using PTCL DSL instead of going for Wateen and Mobilink Infinity. Why? There's a lack, there's a gap in the marketing campaign. Even today, I believe that I can see more advertisement campaigns for PTCL than for Wateen and I mean these Mobilink Infinity. So this is they are not creating the market. They are not playing their cards. And I just gave an example that World Cup has started. And from a network operator's point of view, we know that during such scenarios, the revenues go down because the customer utilization goes down. What the cellular operators did, they started to give they reduced their tariff. They came up with some good packages so that people remain glued to their network. They do not underutilize their network. But at the same scenario, consider this same scenario from the data network point of view. Wateen, Mobilink Infinity, they didn't came with a single package. Wi-Tribe, Auger, QB, they are not coming with a single package. They know that the net, even I mean, I'm not sure, I don't think that they do not know that the utilization will go. If they really don't know, then I'm not sure they can survive in telecom for so long. But if they know, they must come up with a package that makes the people addict to the data network. People are addicted to Facebook, people are addicted to Twitter, but they are not addicted to Wi-Tribe, they are not addicted to Mobilink Infinity. This is what they need to do. They just need to create the customer perception that you can use this and your life will be easy. This is what they need to do. I have just given a very clear suggestion that in fact there can be two ways from PTA to facilitate the 3G deployment. One way, I told you that they could auction only one license at this moment, and the operator will think that okay, the investor will think that okay, I have got this much market to capture. So if in case of only one license, the operator will easily go for it because he understands that I can create a monopoly in the 3G in Pakistan. The other way, another way for PTA is that they can auction two licenses maybe, but they can give the investor the option of deferred payment. You do not pay us anything for license at this moment. You go for the 3G network, earn the revenue, and pay us after a year, or maybe pay in 2 installments or 3 installments, maybe in 2 years, in 4 installments in 2 years. From the PTA point of view, they must facilitate the operators to invest into the 3G. From the operators point of view, I believe that they should be, I mean, to some extent the operators should be aggressive. They need to, I mean, realize that there is a lot of potential in the data network, and I believe that if PTA really facilitates, then to some extent some operators are really ready. I'm not sure about Mobilink, but I'm very sure about Telenor. I'm very sure that they, from 2007, they really wanted to go for 3G, and due to some policies of PT or some recession effects, now they are not interested in 3G as much as they were in 2008, because you know, from infrastructure point of view, Telenor network is very much ready for the 3G. You just have to give them the license, and maybe in 6 months they may be ready for 3G. And this is what I believe. I have seen the network quite closely, and they are very much ready. Even Zong is very aggressive because Zong wants to capture more and more market of Pakistan. Yes, there is a need, and I can tell you for sure that if 3G is licensed today, I can tell you for sure that what is going to happen is that we will hire consultants from outside, like in 2G. The consultants came from outside. They did all the initial work, trained the resources, and then they went back, and you can see the main bulk of the salaries go to those consultants. So from the academia point of view, and to some extent from the industry point of view, what they need to do is that they need to cooperate with each other and to start training the resources for 3G. And this is one of the best investment that they can make for their network. training is not that expensive. It just takes a point of it's a willingness. If you are willing to do that, you can conduct maybe 2-hour session in a weekend. Even that for a year can really train the resources. And when those resources, local trained resources, when they will come into the market, that will be really an asset for the industry. So the industry and the academia, they need to think more broadly, and they need to train the local resources, so that when 3G is really launched, we really do not have to look for the consultants from USA and Europe. Rather, we can have a local talent pool, and they can be used. And even, to be honest, to some extent, some companies, not the mainstream operators, but some other companies, they have started doing this. That what they are doing, they are training the Pakistani people, some students, and they are exporting those resources as a talent pool to other countries. This is already started in Islamabad. Qualcomm is doing this. So this is a lesson to be learned for those operators who are already there, and they know that their skin is into it. If they launch 3G, they want 3G resources. So the best investment that they can do, and the cheapest investment that they can do, is that they train the local resources, okay, and make them ready for 3G. So when 3G is really launched, they will have a very low cost and very skilled talent pool.